Hey, look out. It's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Radcliffe.
I'm so glad the doctor is in, Dan. There
Yes.
he is, Dr. Lee Adams. He's our new best friend, right, Dan?
Yes, he is. We just met him last week on the Christian View. As a matter of fact, let me put up this picture here that'll kind of take our place here. You'll see us there, and there's Dr. Lee right there in between Sandra and Trudy Simmons. So we had a good time last week meeting him, and we said, hey, we need to get you on the show.
Yeah, Doc, how are you?
I'm doing great this morning, despite the weather. I still, feel like it's a great day.
Yes.
Lee Adams is not only the co-host of the Christian View. Listen to this, Dan. He's a professor, so I'm going to ask him a bunch of questions in just a few. He's also a behavior specialist, pastor, trained educator. He does it all.
Behavior specialist. That's why he's with us, because he knew we needed it.
After you talk with us, you'll probably write a book.
Oh, working on that. Yes.
Are you really? Now, yes. I looked into your bio, and he's also, I didn't know this, Lee. You don't share. This is not on your business card. He's done a lot of film. He's been in Tyler Perry's Good Deeds. He's on BET's, or he was on BET's, The Game Drop and Drop Dead Diva. Are you still doing any film work at all?
Yeah, right now I'm doing just helping out with a few small projects. Not, as much as I was trying to really aspire as much in the past. Pastoring really keeps me super busy. So I am working with a friend who is doing a project now that she's pitching to Netflix and in negotiations with them now. So I'm just doing a little extra work there, just more so have to be extreme with the roles that, people ask you about, because, more importantly, want to make sure that I portray Christian, regardless of whether it's acting or not, something that's not going to bring shame to the kingdom of God.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate that. Now, how did you become one of the co-hosts of the Christian View?
Well, actually, it started off from working primarily as an actor. I had taken a role in, at that time, the movie was called Georgia Justice. And then when it was produced, it became Stand Your Ground. Jackie Carpenter was the host of the Christian View at the time. And through just meeting Jackie and having conversation with her, she asked me about coming on. At that time, the show had started off in its genesis of just being an all-female show to discuss the day's hot topics against the Word of God. And it was female panelists, and she wanted, a male's perspective, and she asked me to come and be a guest co-host. And I was coming in maybe once every 5 shows, and then it evolved into just being a part of the regular panel.
Awesome. And you're also pastor at Noonday Covenant Ministries. Tell us about how'd you get started with that? How long you've been doing that?
Well, yes, I'm pastor at New Day Covenant Ministries in Lake City, Georgia. And I began that process. It's been right now coming up on 15 years. Prior to that, I was an associate minister at a large denomination. It was a national and local, and just felt the call of God to step out and to branch out and move forward, and heeded God's call and listened to his voice. And we started out by faith, had our first service in a school cafeteria. And at that time, we probably had about 36 or 37 people that attended. And then 11 people joined that first service. And from there, God just has expanded and enlarged our territories. And we moved to where we are now in Lake City, the current edifice. We're still in renovation phases, but we are owning our 2 properties there. One is 4,000 square feet, the other 10,000 square feet. We've been purchasing the land around us as we're moving forward and building and expanding and what God is doing. So it's just really been, he's really been blessing, and it's a lot of work. It's a 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week job. It never stops. So
you mean pastors don't just work on Sundays? I thought they just no. Okay.
No, all day, all night.
Dr. Lee Adams, I was a lead pastor for 13 years. I've been associate pastor and youth pastor. I've done it all, probably for the last, I guess it's been about 30 years. Honestly, I don't want to be a senior pastor ever again.
Oh,
I really like the role of associate pastor, and I think I do that much better. What have you learned since you've done both? And it sounds like that you've transitioned well. What do you think you've learned over the last 15 years as a person, as a pastor, a leader? What have you learned?
okay, well, most importantly, I've learned that you have to obey God's voice and seek Him for direction. And this is not a thing about for self gain. It is not something that you do based on because you want to just, be popular, or, if you're definitely looking for fame or money. That's at least I haven't. But it's definitely, I have learned that if you listen from your heart and your spirit, God will always, even when I'm not sure if I'm doing the right things, but always listening from heart and spirit to God, and also from the parishioners and people that I serve. Listening to the heart and the spirit always leads you in the right direction, and trusting God and not getting into myself when people come to me with their various issues, making sure that I check out of Lee and making sure that I stay in the role and watching those boundaries, because boundaries are so important in ministry, because what I find is that people will actually, they take you as to be the oracle or the voice of God, and they literally almost hinge on every word you say. And saying the wrong thing at the wrong time could set somebody's life into a downward spiral. So it's very important that you stay, in touch with the spirit and let God lead you.
Dr. Lee Adams, he's pastor at Noonday Covenant, also a host of The Christian View. He's an actor. He's done music worship before. He's done it all, basically. And before we got started, Rick said something about you writing a book, and you said that might be in the works.
Yes,
so what's in your heart and in your head about writing a book?
Well, actually, I've been working on actually about 3 that I've started on, and mainly in them, the main one that I'm really trying to work on is having a book that really helps people to understand, pulling in from my education training, my psychology training, helping people to understand how to just live this godly life with principles that definitely from the Bible, but understanding them also from a standpoint of theory and behavioral practices, so that a lot of times what I find, people are so hard on themselves and they don't understand that, behavior, things of learning how, if you want to change your behavior, working through different cognitive strategies to work that part. I know God tells us, don't be conformed, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Well, in my line of work, that may be translated into cognitive behavioral therapy, where we're teaching people metacognition, how to, think about your thinking and how you're doing things. And I want to give people a book, or something, resources that is helpful, that they can take this and even, be so simple that their children, they can utilize it if they're having problems with their adolescents, that these will be things that they can utilize to bring about change and to help, benefit their homes and their lives.
Dr. Lee Adams, he is one of the co-hosts of The Christian View, and also pastor of New Day Covenant. You can go to newdaycovenant.com to find out more. So, Doc, the last 6 months, we've all had the challenge of the pandemic, the economy, and all kinds of challenges with racial issues. How have you been able to lead your congregation through? I mean, it's been anxiety. This is an anxious time. How have you been able to take them through all of this?
Well, again, first and foremost, making sure that as the messages that I bring forth and even the lessons that I'm teaching, we do a Wednesday wellness check-in. We also have a Facebook page called New Day Covenant Ministries. You can follow us there as well. And there on Wednesdays, I do a lesson at 7 p.m. where we'll do a weekly check-in. And initially it started as more so I was doing this with my parishioners that weren't able to come out, but they could come in live. And it was just an opportunity to just do a wellness check to make sure everybody was doing okay. How's everybody faring? Asking them about, things that they may have concerns, because the anxiety level has really increased, not just, in the church, but throughout our world. We've seen that. And so what we try to do is make sure that all the activities that we've coordinated really help to steer people in the right direction, and reminding people, even during all of the riots and the things that have happened, what we've seen going on in societies, the injustices and different things that people have brought to the forefront of where they've really wanted to, what I saw was people really voicing frustration. A lot of people had already been quarantined for quite a long period of time. And, that first big thing we had here in the city of Atlanta, when people got out and just tore up the city, I was just like, I missed that. I mean, literally missed it by minutes. I had, being greedy that night, I had did a takeout order at the Cheesecake Factory at Lennox.
Man.
I literally had just walked out with my takeout food, and I was getting ready. This is the true story. I was going to turn left out of the mall and go down Peachtree Street, and the Spirit said, no, go the other way. And I drove and went down Lennox Road and came home the back way. And when I got home and saw all what had transpired on the news, it was just like baffling. But I saw in that like just a lot of pent up anxiety, that it almost like people were releasing all that frustration, because even though I know, what happened, no one's life, everybody's life is important, and someone lost their life, but to take it to the level of, destroying your city and your own community, it spoke a lot of other, frustrations and things that people had held deeply within. It was almost like all of a sudden, it was like, I can release now, and it's like, it wasn't the right way, but that's more what I saw. But we've really been trying to work with, I do two basic tenets that I try to make sure that I continue to keep before my parishioners, is understanding the golden rule. First, we got to love the Lord our God with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our mind, and love our neighbor as ourselves. And if you really stay focused on that, and remembering, that what the Bible teaches us is that, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, even though we don't do unto others as they do unto us. So vengeance is mine. So we want to keep that, and remembering that God is also, he's still in charge and he's sovereign. So regardless of what's going on in our world and our nation, if there are any injustices, we're going to leave that to God in our legal systems, et cetera, to handle. And let's not take matters into our own hands.
I am so glad. We're both so glad that you listened and took the other turn instead of going into that mess. Huh?
Oh, yeah, that was.
And next time you get Cheesecake Factory, please let us know, because I'd love some cheesecake.
Most definitely. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, if you'd like to follow Dr. Lee Adams, you can. And you can also go to the church website, newdaycovenant.com. Pastor Lee Adams, he's on Instagram, he's on Facebook, and watch him. The next season starts when of the Christian View? Do you know?
We just finished taping season 6. You guys were there with us last Friday. We had a great time. It was very anointed. It's a wonderful group of people to work with. Dr. Trudy Simmons is the best. And WATC also, it's a wonderful station to work with. But our next season will begin taping again in January of 2021. So listen out. We'll be posting dates, and prayerfully maybe by then we'll be open back up for our studio audience to return. But right now, we've just kind of been doing everything with the precautions and just keeping it just with the team going into the studio.
Doc, we'd love to talk to you again, and especially when you get those books done, we want to push those things, because I think they're really, really important and timely for so many people to read, and also to do, not just to read, but to do them. So follow him and watch him, and check out the church, newdaycovenant.com. We'll be back. We got to take a break. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.